So what's going on, guys? My name is MrDalekJD, and in this video I'm going to be showing you not one, not two, but three brand new Dr. Monty wisp quotes. Now yesterday I made a video on a fourth wisp that was found, which is a Maxis quote, but in that time there's been a further three of them found around the map in really crazy spots, and these contain some very juicy storyline information which we'll break down afterwards. We've got something about Samantha, talking about her Black Ops 1 version as well as a Samantha for now, which is insane. We've also got some stuff about how at one point our characters were World War II experiments, which is insane that we're linking stuff back from the previous games as well. And also we have some more stuff talking about each of our characters, which is just amazing. So I'm going to show you all these locations, we're going to play them all now, and then we'll go ahead and break these down one by one.
Samantha, oh boy. You ever heard the phrase, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned? Well, that fury is even worse with a little girl, especially one as confused as that poor child is. She really didn't get much of a chance, did she? Right out of the gate, she was thrown into this madness before she could ever figure out exactly who she was. Still, that's all ancient history now. She's safe in the house. Okay, here's a quick cheat sheet. You all fought in World War I. Whoopee! You were badass heroes. That was true. That happened. Later, some other versions of you ended up as lab rats in some crazy World War II experiments. Experiments that left you a bit, not that smart. Your memories were mostly erased, and you just kind of bumbled and stumbled around in time and space, oblivious to your past and future actions. You know how people say that every snowflake is unique? That every single one is an individual, a one-of-a-kind, irrefutable evidence of the miracles of Mother Nature? Well, it's not true. Snowflakes aren't all that unique. There are really only about 12 different designs. The point I'm making is that you lot are hardly one-of-a-kind snowflakes. You were fragmented across a multitude of different realities, but each and every one is basically the same. You are all you. The liar, the braggart, the drunk. The one who didn't know what he had until it was gone. The good soldier. Never disobeyed orders, never broke protocol, still kicked ass all the same. The loyal servant. A warrior out of time, born too late or born too early. Honor-bound to dying traditions. The man-child, broken and twisted by a life burdened with knowledge. Living like a soul who is perpetually drowning.
Now the first quote we heard there was talking about Samantha, and he actually references a really famous phrase from a William Congreve book, Hell Hath No Fury Like a Woman Scorned. That is a pretty famous paraphrase there from a poet who was born in the 17th century, which is insane. Maybe that alone just goes to talk a little bit about where Monty's come from and how he's not just some new character. He's been here for a while to have heard that phrase before. And he says that the fury is even worse with a little girl, especially one as confused as that poor child is. She didn't really get much of a chance, did she? Right out the gate she was thrown into this madness before she could ever figure out who exactly she was. Still, that's all ancient history now, which is just mind-blowing. All of the things that happened in World at War in that original storyline where Samantha was trapped in the MPD and suddenly was in control of the zombies through the ether, that is all apparently ancient history now. That is something that happened a very long time ago and should not be referenced in our main story now, because that is just all in the past. It's all ancient history. This Samantha is safe in the house. So knowing that, the Samantha that we have in the house in this storyline has nothing to do with the original storyline, and they are not the same person whatsoever. But since it's this alternate universe where the things that happened aren't happening here, the Samantha still retains some of the original things that made Samantha who she was. And for a really cool idea is that we see she's playing with the figurines and everything's just a game, which a lot of people originally thought that that cutscene represented. But what if the only way she could ever really kind of reconcile with her actions tormenting the group and killing so many people was to have a chance at having a childhood by doing it in the form of playing with toys? That way, in a way, she's still controlling the zombies because she's controlling this game and that's what it represents, but she's not actually controlling the zombies through the ether in that sense. It's just an alternate way. Dr. Monty makes a very good point. Right out of the gate, as soon as she was born, she was thrown into the whole madness before she could ever figure out exactly who she was. She didn't really have a proper childhood. She was literally thrown into the midst of controlling the zombies in the ether from a very, very young age, and she's never ever grown up either, which is extremely interesting as well. So now we know that Richtofen from the end of the Easter egg is in the house already, and so is Samantha. Now let's move on to the second wisp that we found, which is now the 6th wisp in total that you can find in these Dr. Monty quotes, and he says, "Here's a quick cheat sheet. You all fought in World War I. Whoopee. You were badass heroes. That was true. That happened. Later, some other versions of you ended up as lab rats in some crazy World War II experiments. Experiments that left you kind of not that smart. Your memories were mostly erased and you just kind of bumbled and stumbled around time and space, oblivious to your past and future actions." Now this is without a doubt the biggest piece of this crazy puzzle that we've been given with yet. So it appears that Dr. Monty possesses quick cheat sheets. Now he says that here's a quick cheat sheet, so maybe he has even more of those which we can hear about. You all fought in World War I, whoopee, which is of course representing them in the original story of Origins, where they were originally fighting in World War I. Then they were all brought to the Origins site for a similar purpose of trying to figure out what was going on there. They were all sent by their representative leaders, where they were then all grouped together in the crazy Origins group that we have now. He says that we're badass heroes. That was true. That happened. They of course know that happened because these versions of our characters right now were 100% there. These are the same versions. Then he says some other versions of you ended up as lab rats in some crazy World War II experiments. Now that is true because that is of course talking about our World at War and Black Ops 1 story. Dempsey, Takeo and Nikolai were all held as World War II experiments by Richtofen, which left them very, very numb towards their memories. They were all erased and they were oblivious of being bumbled and stumbled around in time and space. Didn't really think too much of what they were doing at the time because of course they were brainwashed. That's what Richtofen did to them. That's what Group 935 were trying to do, of course. And this is something that of course the Origins characters do not yet realise. They know there's other versions of themselves. They know that to some degree they're aware, but of course Element 115 messes up with their minds, and in the original story their minds were literally messed up because most of their memories were erased, which is insane. Now this last and final wisp, the 7th wisp that's been found, it's in a really weird spot. I don't know how on earth Javano managed to find that, but big shout out to you. And Monty talks about how every snowflake is unique when they really aren't. There's only about 12 different designs, and the point that he's making is that our characters are hardly one-of-a-kind snowflakes, which means they are not that special. They were fragmented across a multitude of different realities, but each and every one is basically the same. You are all you, which basically means even though our Origins characters are very, very different to their World at War counterparts, to be honest, they are basically still the same person. They are still you. We've got a liar, the braggart, the drunk, which of course is Nikolai, the one who didn't know what he had until it was gone. We still don't know for sure if, referencing at the end of the cutscene there, if that's only talking about the fact that he didn't have multiple wives in the end. It was only just the one wife. I feel that's a story that could have been expanded on a little bit more that we didn't really get much of in the cutscene. So maybe in the next map that will be explored a bit. The good soldier, never disobeyed orders, never broke protocol, still kicked ass all the same. That is of course referencing Dempsey, the loyal servant, a warrior out of time, born too late or born too early, unabound to dying traditions. That of course is talking about Takeo and how he was loyal to the Emperor even when the Emperor betrayed him, when he finally realised that. And the final one's the most interesting one, the man-child, which is Richtofen, broken and twisted by a life burdened with knowledge, living like a soul who is perpetually drowning. Now to me this is such a beautiful description description for Richtofen. I can't think of any better words to describe him. He is definitely a broken and twisted man. He has the element of deceit and being to lie towards our characters, but his life has been burdened with knowledge. In this version of Richtofen, he was brought under Dr. Maxis's wing and had to learn a lot of things very, very quickly, and even now, since Origins, he's learned a hell of a lot. He is burdened with an incredible amount of knowledge, but he's living like a soul who is perpetually drowning, which means a soul that is forever and will forever be drowning, because it seems like no matter what he does, he can't seem to help himself. He just always ends up being in a situation which is not perfect, and it will always be something where he will always be in this position where he has to fight for a better tomorrow rather than being able to sort this out and live in a perfect life. I think the most important thing to take out of that wisp is the bit when he says that you're fragmented across a multitude of different realities, but each and every one is basically the same. So no matter what version you have of the characters, they are basically the exact same version no matter what you say. No matter if they have different personality traits, there's always going to be something down the line which will always connect them to being the same person, and they will always be. Now there's no doubt in my mind that this is the end. There is bound to be even more wisps to find than this. I'm so surprised that there is more than the 4 that we've found so far, and I uploaded a video yesterday talking about the 4th one, which is a message from Monty about Dr. Maxis, but to me there's definitely going to be more wisps. I will go on a limb and say probably maybe 2 to 3 more wisps to find, but as you can see from the video, these locations are not easy to find whatsoever. Some of them you may find accidentally, and you need all of the wisps activated before you can find any more new ones. So I'm going to be looking around the map, of course, trying to find more, and if I do find more, I'll be sure to bring you guys a video on them. But man, this is so damn exciting, and Dr. Monty is such a fantastic character. I'm so happy Treyarch have evolved and like brought him into the story in such a big way. He's not just a significant character that we've only gotten a tease of. He is really pumping out some insane storyline stuff, and there's bound to be more over the next few days. So make sure to subscribe to not miss out on those, but make sure to drop the video a like rating if you did enjoy all of this crazy story stuff. Shoutouts are in order for finding these locations because I did not find them myself. The 4th one, which I made a video on yesterday, was found by MAGLAN. Big shout out to you for accidentally throwing a grenade in that room to set that one off. Big shout out to Smart Guy 316 for finding the 5th Monty quote. I believe he was live streaming and just happened to notice this wisp in the rolled up carpets by the KRM wall buy. Shout out to my boy Starburst for finding the 6th wisp location, and shout out to Javano for finding the 7th one. Now there's pretty much going to be some more to find, so when they do get found, I'll be sure to update you guys on the channel with all of those. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to let me know in the comments. Make sure to discuss anything as well that Dr. Monty said below. I'll catch you in another video very soon.